Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
General Hospital recap for Tuesday, February 3rd, reveals that director Ross Cullum fitted Britt Westbourne while Anna Devane was about to be committed. Michael Corinthos also faced a concession decision, so that's how Tuesday's occasion played out. For starters, Diane Miller considered it a massive gift that Molly Lansing Davis was questioning Michael since she was poisoned in her kinsman's favor. Molly made it clear that there wouldn't be a conflict of interest since she wouldn't be involved if the case moved forward. Nathan West was also there to cover the questioning and heated as Michael walked them through the timeline of the night of Drew Cain's firing. Subsequently, Diane advised Michael that the only reason he hadn't been charged yet was because the DA's office wanted to make sure the case was watertight to avoid losing an alternate trial. In Britt's room, Cullum dismissed her complaints about her missing meds. From now on, Britt would get one cure at a time when she worked in the lab at Windermere. At the PCPD, Jason Morgan told Dante Falconeri about Anna being set up and claiming Cesar Faison was alive. Jason didn't believe that was possible, so Dante suggested Anna's PTSD was causing her paranoia and that she'd need help to come back from it. Although Jason was willing to go to France and speak with Anna, he'd to take care of commodity first. Once Dante spoke to Nathan about Anna's Faison claims, Nathan claimed he'd no fresh information about his father. After Jason went to Britt's window, she let him outside. Jason was there for a drug vial like they talked about so they could have it rear-finagled, but Britt explained Cullum's new rules regarding her meds. Jason wanted to rush over to Windermere and get the drug himself, but Britt stopped him and advised him to get out since someone could be watching her. Although Britt allowed this was over, Jason was adamant that he'd figure commodity out. Jason ultimately returned to Dante and told him that he couldn't go to France after all since commodity came up that he'd to handle. Back with Cullum, he paid Britt another visit with a drug vial and decided he'd let her have one before she went to work. Cullum suggested it was a gesture of goodwill, but Britt was uneasy as he claimed on administering the cure himself and jabbed her strongly. At Nina Reeves' place, Willow Cain pulled out the key that Martin Gray had sequestered from Tracy Quartermaine when she came to get the Quartermaine heritages. Willow allowed. Perhaps she could ever tie Michael to this and make it feel like he conspired with Tracy to skulk in, but Nina claimed there was no substantiation of that. After Willow brought up Alexis Davis helping her, she mentioned her dirt on Jacinda Bracken and was ready to go after Michael hard. Nina allowed. The better strategy would be to prove Willow was the reasonable parent who wanted what was stylish for the children. At Sonny Corinthos' house, ADA Justine Turner met Fizz the Deliverance canine, who growled at her in disapprobation. Sonny enjoyed some badinage with Justine, who was there to clarify that she wouldn't be involved in Michael's case if it moved forward. That said, Justine wouldn't vacillate to bring Sonny down if she set up substantiation he committed a crime. Sonny allowed. There was a difference between that and someone with a vendetta who might fabricate evidence or go after someone he loves. Sonny hoped that Justine would ultimately realize they had more in common than she allowed. But she advised him not to hold his breath. Latterly, Michael spoke to Sonny and bothered that he could get arrested. Indeed, if Michael got out on bail, it could affect the visit hail. That's why Michael was willing to compromise with Willow before he lost the upper hand. Once Molly and Nathan met with Justine, she claimed they demanded substantiation before they could indeed suppose about charging Michael. Justine pushed Nathan to find commodity solid that proved Michael was the shooter at Drew Cain's house that night. Back with Willow, she picked up the key and contemplated it like she was colluding against Michael. At GH, Emma Scorpio Drake gave Felicia Scorpio updates on the whole Anna situation in France. Max Scorpio heard the rearmost Anna news as well, so there were questions about whether Anna had authentically suffered an internal break or if this was maybe a ruse. Anyhow, Emma claimed on going to France since she was the bone who first got the call about Anna being in trouble. Mac had a discussion with the French authorities, who revealed that Anna was being transferred to an internal health installation that night since they weren't equipped to deal with her. Felicia was concerned about Anna being stuck in shelter when it wasn't necessary if this was indeed some kind of ruse. Mac planned to speak with Kevin Collins and him to recommend a good private installation for Anna. That said, Felicia, Mac and Emma obviously knew that they demanded to head to France to be there for Anna ASAP. General Hospital spoilers say some tough moments are ahead for Anna and those closest to her, so stay tuned. Suckers can anticipate Jocelyn Jacks to meddle. Sonny Corinthos strategizes with Jason Morgan. Nathan West opens up to Nina Reeves. Keep reading to find out what's coming up in the ABC Cleaner pieces. Let's launch off with Lulu Spencer. The woman kissed Nathan, also freaked out over Maxie Jones. Neither want to make the wrong decision, so they need to suppose about this. While Maxie is in a coma right now, suckers know she'll wake up soon. Still, Lulu and Nathan don't know if Maxie will ever wake up. So, they need to live in the present. That will lead Lulu to get advice from Laura Collins. While Lulu is talking to Laura, Nathan will open up to Nina Reeves. In an exercise clip, Nathan admits he has romantic passions for Lulu. Willow Tate Kane's next move. General Hospital spoilers for Hereafter's occasion reveal that Willow makes her coming move. Suckers know that Nina has tried to recommend peace to Willow. Still, the nanny claims she prayed Michael Corinthos for peace, but he refused. With Willow's rearmost move on Drew Kane, I'm upset how far she'll go to get her children. Also, a exercise clip shows Willow and Michael outside of the law office. The woman says, I haven't agreed to anything yet. Sonny Corinthos strategizes. As for Sonny and Jason, they will come up with a plan. Also, in an exercise clip, we can see them both at Sonny's house. The mob master declares, the further we know, the easier it's to take him out. Jocelyn Jacks snoops over with Jocelyn, she'll continue to ignore orders. No matter the peril, the youthful woman will continue digging for the verity. Still, she might suppose she's gyroplane with director Ross Cullum, but he's not as oblivious as she thinks. Anna Devane's deliverance. There's also Anna Devane, who remains a hostage. Still, Felicia Scorpio finds Anna. With both of them crying, Anna begs Felicia to get her out of there so she can stop Caesar Faison. Still, Mac Scorpio suggested that Anna had an internal break. What if she really was freed, just so everyone thinks she's crazy? Which plot are you looking forward to seeing the most on Wednesday, February 4th, 2026? Emma Scorpio Drake reaches out to Felicia Scorpio while Britt Westbourne is hopeless. Plus, acting District Attorney Justine Turner appears to be sweet-talking Sonny Corinthos. Emma reaches out to Felicia at General Hospital. Emma reaches out to Felicia after getting an important call. A Bobby in a small city in France called her and reported Anna Devane flagged down an auto. She gave a story that she had been held interned in France and escaped, and bear the information that Caesar Faison is alive. The question is, was she moved from Windermere to France, considering Pascal claimed to be in France? Emma is in gashes as she says to a veritably upset Felicia, it's Grandma and she's in trouble. Felicia looks like she's going to cry too. Diane is suspicious in the services of Miller and Davis. Diane Miller is talking to Michael Corinthos. She tells him that Ada Turner just handed them a massive gift. Still, Diane will be suspicious of commodity. Maybe this massive gift sounds too good to be true. Indeed, though Rick Lansing is handling Michael's visit Hale, which will lead to a guardianship Hale, there's still Michael being a person of interest in Drew Kane's firing to handle. What might Diane be talking about, and is that the same thing she'll be suspicious of? Jason is torn in the meantime. Jason Morgan is torn. He's talking to Dante Falconeri. One thing he'll talk to him about is the information that he learned from Emma getting the call from France while he was there at the Quartermaine manse. He'll tell him that Anna reported Faison is alive, and Dante tells him he'll need someone he knows and trusts to lead him back from that. Will Jason tell him about Britt's situation as well, or only about Anna? If he tells him what Britt told him about Jen Sidwell killing Henry Dalton, also he might save Sonny and Laura Collins, but he'll concession Britt. In the meantime, Britt is hopeless. She returned to her room at Bobby's to find that her drug was missing. She's freaking out as she tells someone, I said I would do the work, and I'm doing it. But who might she be talking to? Pascal, Sidwell, or conceivably Ross Cullum? While she spent she allowed intimately the night with Jason at an old harbor master's cabin near Port Charles. Obviously someone's been in her room. Jason had mentioned reverse negotiating her drug, but he promised that he would take her cure at that time. Who might have taken it, and who's she talking to? Turner sweet addresses Sunny away. Turner appears to be sweet-talking Sunny, as she gets veritably over close and particular, right up in his face. She smiles as she tells him anything's possible, but don't hold your breath. No doubt she's talking to him about Michael's interrogation, which is why he was talking to Diane. Who's fooling who in this coyness between Sunny and Turner? Are the two on Indeed playing ground or not? The morning light over Port Charles arrived softly, almost apologetically, as if it knew the city would soon be plunged into another day of turmoil. The harbor shimmered in pale gold, but beneath that calm surface, lives were unraveling, secrets were sharpening into weapons, and hearts were being tested by fear, loyalty, and the dangerous promise of power. What began as a routine Tuesday quickly transformed into a crucible, a baptism not of water, but of fire, where each character would be forced to confront who they truly were and how far they were willing to go. At the center of the storm, Michael Corinthos sat across from his attorney, Diane Miller, in a quiet office that hummed with the faint buzz of fluorescent lights. The room smelled of coffee and legal paperwork, a place where destinies were often rewritten with signatures and carefully chosen words. Michael tried to steady his breathing, reminding himself that this was just another meeting, just another step in a long and exhausting battle. But the tension in the air told him otherwise. When Molly Lansing Davis and Nathan West entered instead of the district attorney, Diane's lips curled into a knowing smile. She leaned close to Michael and whispered that this was a gift, a rare advantage in a game that rarely played fair. Molly was his cousin, after all, and no matter how professional she tried to be, bias would inevitably soften her approach. Molly quickly clarified her role, insisting she was only there to ask questions and would step aside if the case moved forward. Her voice was firm, but her eyes betrayed a flicker of discomfort. Family and justice were never easy to separate. Michael walked them through the night Drew Kane was shot, his words measured, his tone steady. He described where he had been, who he had spoken to, what he had seen. The timeline flowed smoothly, rehearsed in his mind 100 times before. When it was over, Molly and Nathan thanked him and left, their footsteps fading down the hallway like an echo of uncertainty. Michael exhaled, convinced the worst had passed. Diane, however, wasn't ready to celebrate. Her expression darkened as she reminded him of a harsh reality. The only reason he wasn't in handcuffs yet was because the district attorney's office wanted an airtight case. One missing piece of evidence, one undeniable link, and his freedom could vanish in an instant. The warning landed heavily, a reminder that even in moments of calm, the storm was never far away. Across town, in a small, carefully kept room that felt more like a prison than a home, Britt Westbourne stood staring at her reflection in the mirror. Her eyes were red-rimmed, her hands trembling just slightly as she tried to hold herself together. The absence of her medication gnawed at her, a constant reminder of how fragile her control over her own life had become. The knock at the door came like a thunderclap. Ross Cullum stepped inside with the casual confidence of a man who knew he held all the cards. He informed Britt that her medication would now be kept at the lab at Windmere. She would only receive it there, one dose at a time, under his watchful eye. Britt protested, her voice cracking as she explained she needed her meds to function at the hospital, to keep up the appearance of strength and professionalism. Cullum listened, unmoved, repeating his terms like an unbreakable law. When he left, the door closing behind him, Britt felt the weight of his control settle over her like a suffocating blanket. She turned on the shower, letting the hot water run over her as she tried to wash away the fear and frustration. Her thoughts drifted to Jason Morgan and his promise to help her, to find a way out of this nightmare. It felt like a fragile thread of hope in a world determined to unravel her. That thread tightened when Jason appeared later, climbing through her window like a ghost from another life. He had come for a sample of her medication, hoping to have it reverse-engineered so he could break Cullum's hold over her. Britt explained the new rules, the lab, the one dose at a time control. Jason's jaw tightened, anger flashing in his eyes. He wanted to storm Windmere and take what they needed by force, but Britt stopped him. She was terrified someone was watching, that any misstep could make things worse. Though she whispered that it was over, that she was trapped, Jason refused to accept defeat. He promised her he would find a way. But even Jason's confidence wavered when he returned to the PCPD and told Dante Falconeri that he couldn't go to France after all. Something here, in Port Charles, demanded his attention. The decision felt heavy, especially with the news Dante had just confirmed. Anna Devane had been found in France, in a small town far from the familiar streets of Port Charles. According to the authorities, she claimed that Cesar Faison, a name that haunted their past like a living nightmare, was still alive. Jason couldn't believe it. He remembered the finality of Faison's supposed end, the sense of closure that had followed. But Dante knew better than to dismiss Anna's words outright. He understood the scars Faison had left on her psyche, the way trauma could blur the line between memory and reality. Even so, he also knew Anna was not a woman prone to fantasy. Emma Scorpio Drake learned of the situation in a way no grandchild ever should. A call from a French police officer shattered her sense of normalcy. She rushed to General Hospital, her heart pounding, tears blurring her vision. When she found her Aunt Felicia, the words spilled out in a rush: her grandmother was in trouble, detained by the police, claiming Faison was alive. Felicia's face crumpled, fear and determination warring in her eyes. She pulled Emma into a hug, promising they would not abandon Anna, no matter how far they had to go. Max Scorpio soon joined them, his own worry evident. He spoke with the French authorities and learned that Anna was being transferred to a mental health facility that very night. The news hit like a blow. Felicia feared that if Anna was truly in danger, being locked away would only make things worse. Even if this was a breakdown, Anna deserved care, not isolation. Mac promised to reach out to Kevin Collins for recommendations, but they all knew time was running out. France was calling, and they had to answer. Back in Port Charles, Willow Kane paced Nina Reeves' living room like a general planning her next campaign. She held a key in her hand, the one Martin Gray had confiscated from Tracy Quartermain after Tracy broke into Drew Kane's place to retrieve family heirlooms. To Willow, the key wasn't just metal. It was potential. Power. A way to shift the balance in her ongoing war with Michael. She told Nina about her idea, about tying Michael to Tracy's actions, about making it seem like he had orchestrated the whole thing. Nina listened, her heart heavy. She tried to remind Willow that family court wasn't about revenge. It was about the children. The judge would want to see a parent seeking peace, not blood. Nina urged her daughter to be the bigger person, to show reason and compassion. But Willow's resolve had hardened into something unrecognizable. She spoke of the past year as a lesson in survival, of realizing that kindness alone would not protect her children. She believed Michael had refused her pleas for peace, and now she was ready to fight with everything she had. The look in her eyes unsettled Nina, who feared how far Willow might go. At Sonny Corinthos' house, another kind of battle unfolded. Acting District Attorney Justine Turner arrived, greeted by Sonny's newly adopted rescue dog, Fizz, who growled at her with suspicious intensity. Sonny laughed, joking that the dog must not like cops. The banter between Sonny and Justine carried an undercurrent of tension, a dance between attraction and opposition. Justine clarified that she would not be prosecuting Michael due to a conflict of interest, but she made it clear that if she ever found evidence of Sonny's crimes, she wouldn't hesitate to bring him down. Sonny countered with a philosophical argument about principles, about the difference between justice and vendetta. He hinted that some people might fabricate evidence out of spite, but he trusted Justine to be better than that. Their conversation ended with a warning wrapped in a smile. "Anything is possible," she told him, "but don't hold your breath." Later, Michael arrived, worry etched into his face. He told Sonny about Diane's fears, about the possibility of being charged, about how even an arrest and bail could cost him leverage in his custody battle. He admitted he might have to compromise with Willow before he lost everything. Sonny listened, the weight of a father's concern and a strategist's calculation in his eyes. Elsewhere, Molly and Nathan reported back to Justine, explaining that Michael's questioning had revealed nothing new. Justine was firm: without solid, physical evidence, they couldn't move forward. She tasked Nathan with finding something concrete, something undeniable, that could place Michael at Drew's house that night. As the city moved through its day, whispers of what was to come began to spread. Nathan found himself confiding in Nina, admitting his feelings for Lulu Spencer. Lulu, in turn, sought advice from her mother, Laura Collins, about the complicated web of emotions surrounding Nathan and Maxie Jones. Maxie lay in a coma, her future uncertain, and both Nathan and Lulu struggled with the guilt of feeling drawn to each other while she remained suspended between worlds. Laura offered gentle wisdom, reminding Lulu that life rarely waited for perfect circumstances. Sometimes, she said, you had to live in the present, even when the future was unclear. The words lingered with Lulu, a quiet encouragement to be brave. Meanwhile, Jocelyn Jacks continued her own dangerous quest for truth. She dug into Ross Cullum's past, following leads that could put her in harm's way. She believed she was being careful, clever. But Cullum was not as oblivious as she thought. Every move she made seemed to tighten the net around her. Back at Britt's place, Cullum returned, this time with a vial and a syringe. He called it a gesture of goodwill, offering her a dose before she went to work. Britt's unease grew as he insisted on administering it himself. The needle's sting was sharp, the sense of violation even sharper. The power imbalance was undeniable, and Britt felt more trapped than ever. As night fell, the threads of every story began to pull tighter. Emma, Felicia, and Mac prepared to leave for France, driven by fear and love for Anna. Willow sat alone at Nina's house, turning the key over in her fingers, her mind racing with possibilities. Michael lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering how close he was to losing everything. Jason stood at a crossroads, torn between helping Anna and protecting Britt. Sonny strategized in the shadows, plotting his next move against unseen enemies. And in a quiet room somewhere in France, Anna Devane waited, her mind a battlefield of memories and warnings. She clung to the belief that she was not crazy, that the threat she sensed was real. She prayed that someone, anyone, would reach her before it was too late. The baptism had begun. Encouraging words had sparked hope in some, while angry threats hardened others into warriors. The city of Port Charles stood on the edge of a future shaped by love, fear, and the relentless pursuit of power. As February loomed with promises of temptation, reunions, and explosive confrontations, one truth became clear: no one would emerge from this unscathed. The storm was coming. And when it broke, it would wash away illusions, leaving only the raw, unfiltered truth of who each person truly was.